Sorry, Chad. There was
So
no,
deep.
uh yeah, we need, like, maybe a gray. GPU with the tooltips, my man.
Hell yeah.
I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna bump up my font size for y'all. Yeah, this is supposed to be, like, red. The terrain green is supposed to be red, and these are supposed to be white, which we'll work on. But this is essentially, oh, guys, the boost is going up. 372%.
Oh, people are joining.
It broke the CSS.
So we
Oh,
have new pages. Should talk through.
Yeah,
The
we got new pages. Yeah, welcome to Temple Time. I'm Jamie Dubs. We're here with Beta 2 at long last, the upgrade that was promised. And I'm loading. Y'all can see my gods, my sweet sweet god collection.
dang 32 gods.
Yeah, buddy.
did you get more?
No, this is my god bag.
Oh, got back.
Actually, I got less because I gave away one or two. Actually, I did get more because I bought some wood boys.
Oh,
I bought
yeah,
some.
that's
I
what
bought some. Yeah. Where's my wood gang at? I got one, two. How many woods am I at? One, two, three,
oh,
four.
you're collecting. You're
Say
on a
again?
mission.
Yeah. Oh, I'm wood gang.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what gang you're in, but I'm in wood gang.
Collection your
Um,
whole collection right now?
This is.
I'm jealous.
I'm be real with you. This is only part of my collection. I'm gunning for DRC levels. You know what I'm saying?
boom.
But
Oh, and then yeah, we got this is 4 5 4 5 6 9 here is my star. This is my star boy. I'm very pleased with how the cracks.
Yeah, he's
I
great.
got I got wood
Marvel.
eye. Yeah, let's marvel it. Let's
That's
marvel.
full wood right there.
I fully marvel error. Awesome news.
Good start. Good start.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard out here. Yeah, please bear with us. I'm sure I broke at least one thing and probably more than that. Let me see what this says. Probably gonna take
We
forever.
just merged this in as in like 5 minutes ago.
Like
So
5 minutes ago. Yeah. So I'll walk through. Let me highlight a couple of things that are new here. We've talked about this all before. The biggest changes with the beta 2 are really all under the hood. In beta 1, we had like the basic mechanics of giving out rewards based on god health in place, but we've always wanted to have kind of this uh, excessively complex occult, uh, reward system that's determined by all of our various variables. So here you can see my sated gods. These are my happy gods. I recently went through and I took care of everybody using the keyboard shortcuts, which I strongly recommend learning ASAP if you have not already.
What's the button for resurrect?
T, which I can't do, but you can see me. I think this is gonna fail. Marvel submitted. Oh no, that went through okay.
Yeah,
You
mine
know
go.
what? I think I'm running into the wallet can only handle so many. The forwarder can handle only so many transactions at the same time, which Sharuz knows what's up on this one. I'm going to implement Frolic's trick of just rotating it through a bunch of different wallets to try to handle that. Um,
Oh, so it's because everyone's joining right now?
Basically, it can only do. I don't know what the number is exactly, but it can only do like so many transactions at once, and so some of them will fail. That's probably what this is. This might be. This says it went through actually.
Yeah, mine are going through.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Never mind. There's no bugs here.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
um, so here's the second line item here with our little tooltips compliments of Mr. GPU. I'll make my font size smaller so that it doesn't wrap around. Never mind, that's not happening. Let's just make it bigger. So you can see in the Ring of Power that today's power is Mystic. And so it looks like I have 7 Mystic gods. That means that 7 of my gods contain at least one Mystic part. Um, I have an offline debugger for that to kind of show you to like aggregate all the powers from your god that I might throw in somewhere sooner than later, so you can kind of figure out like which god is which. I think this guy might have a mystic.
I think I
Nah,
might have written the wrong copy on the tooltip because I thought it was associated with the dominant power, but it's just any power.
Currently, it is any part. Yeah, like so, a god has, let's say, let's see what 4569's got. Um, like 4 to 7 powers. And so I have dark, dark, mundane, mundane, chaos, mundane. So if today's power was mundane, um, I would have 3 aligned parts, and this would
Mhm.
be 1 aligned god.
Right.
So I'm not using the dominant power, although we could discuss that if this feels weird. That'd be a pretty easy change. But right now it's using any god containing an aligned part. So
Personally, my gut is dominant power, but
cool. Yeah,
just what you
I'm happy to change. That's an easy
but
change. I
out
like
out
that.
of 32, only 7 years line up. That's interesting.
That's pretty good, I think. That feels
You know,
because there's 18 powers. It's like 4 to 7. Yeah, I'm no math magician, but that seems all right to me.
that's not bad.
Okay, so power alignments, and this will change with every blessing cycle. So I'm just gonna run a blessing cycle right now. Don't
Don't tell anyone.
don't tell anybody. um, and it doesn't update automatically. That's one of these upgrades I want to make, is that it's like if you're watching the page and it will refresh when this timer in the middle hits 0. Shout out GPU. But since I'm sort of forcing a blessing early, this will reset a little more slowly. I apologize for how slow this page is too. Optimizing all of this is another one on the to-do list. But looks like I brought in like 200. Yeah, buddy, 233 blood. Look at this terrain boost. This keeps going up and up, up and up.
That means nobody's joining your
That
cult.
means nobody's joining my cult. Nobody is joining my cult. Let's see how bad it is in a moment. So okay, we've moved on to creature, and Snuts looks like I have 0 creature, even though I have 32 gods, and that's counting all the parts too. That's not even dominant powers. So it's it's kind of
You
interesting.
you need some snake or some, goat,
I don't think I have any snacks.
grail. Grail, bruh.
Yeah, snacks are dope. Yeah, I have 0 snacks.
I gifted Crucifor a snake.
That's very kind of you. It's a rare gift.
It's
Okay,
a
so power alignment boost. So this is right now it's a 200% boost. So an unhappy god will earn you 0 blood. A happy god, sated god, will earn you 1 blood per the base earnings for god. And then a power aligned god will currently earn you essentially 2 blood. If that makes sense. And I think we're not showing that boost somewhere, but right now it's set to be a 200% boost off of the base earnings. And these are all configurable too. I've mentioned this in calls, I don't know, 2 months ago, but I have this idea about sort of making all these game variables like a page that debugs them. And I'd be very curious about presenting to the community in a way where people can kind of debug them and simulate them and potentially even sort of vote on changes to them. I think would be kind of fun. So our next boost is the cult popularity boost, and I can't unbind to show you the dialogue here because I'm bound, and the binding lockup is now in place. If you bind, you are bound for a week, so bind carefully. Um,
everybody on the call bound.
yeah,
For
everybody's like,
3
oh, whoops. And I
Yeah,
think it's in the dialogue, but if not, we should make it bolder. By the way, someone interrupt me if I'm not paying attention to side chat. Okay, we're good. Um, Yeah, let's see how we're doing. This is the old page. So we had 1, 4, 4. Look at this. I think I'm still the only Tureen,
Oh
but it
man,
means that
something.
my boost is going up. So that's pretty sick. So sad. It's even breaking. It's my boost is
Can
so
you
large.
explain how these reward boosts work per cult?
Yeah. So the okay, that is the part that I'm at. So the cult population boosts. It's based on the number of worshippers, not the number of gods. That's a technical flaw that may or may not be fixable. We'll see. But essentially, there's 4, 4, 1 are the numbers here, and so that is why, since it's 4 and 4, they're both getting a 0% boost because they're tied in terms of the number of people. But one over here is much less, and it has um, essentially it's an exponential increase based on the difference. And I think on this game variables page is where I would probably put the formula that we're currently using. We're screen sharing, so I'll just show a little bit of some of the napkin math. But there's a rough it's kind of the difference from the highest cult cubed currently. And I'll probably end up toning that down depending on how the populations actually end up. That formula was based on where we were at with beta 1, where I think the numbers were more like 50-50. It was like 50-40-30 or something like that. Like it was fairly even, but my hope is that this provides an incentive to join less popular cults. And I'll revisit the idea of tying it to the actual number of gods. I mean, I think that makes logical sense, but it's a long and boring explanation about why that's actually quite difficult to do, since everything that's being computed here is actually 100% on chain. So there's a lot of computational limits associated with it. And we're already, to be frank, like totally pushing the limits of what's possible. And then our last boost is I think it used to be called global yield, or just sort of like the blessing cycle yield, but we're just calling it the early access boost. And this is a number that it goes down a little bit every cycle. And I believe in about a month it would be 0 based on sort of the current rate of decline. And the idea there is, it's crypto, so you have to reward early people. And so thank you all for being here, being early. You get more blood because of it. How did I do? These are the 4 major pieces of the math going into sort of the new boost system. And then you can see the cult stats. There's no individual stats yet, but I'm interested in sort of having like at least a debugging page for it.
Individual stats for users.
Yeah, so that you could kind of go to a page. It would be different than this page. It'll probably just be a dedicated page for it. But the idea would be that it would, gosh, I don't have something handy, but I have like a debugging tool that I use on the command line where I can put in someone's account address and it crawls all their gods and aggregates all the powers and sort of displays it as like like a report of how many powers you have across all these different parts and how many sets you have, and sort of like essentially sort of your account level aggregate stats.
Yeah. I think I designed that in a tab on this page to have like some just user general stats.
Yeah, and it's basically, and I think it's kind of helpful for figuring out like if you're a completionist and you want to get everything, or we've also talked about this idea of like the cult boosts, where it's like if you're bound to Turin, the Turin powers would benefit you more. In which case, it's nice to have like kind of a report that tells you, oh, am I Turin? Do I have all of the Turin powers? Do I have a god with a dominant power from all the Turin powers, or something like that? So, but so far, this is kind of I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now. It's already quite complex. We're really, like I mentioned, we're really pushing the limits of on-chain computation with some of this stuff. So, we'll kind of feel out how some of this feels, and if it's fun and too complicated, or not complicated enough, or appropriately complicated.
Yep. Can we step through the store real quick and what we plan to launch once we feel that this is a stable stably flowing blood into everybody's pockets?
Yes, sir. Great. I'm just checking the chat. I have no questions. Feel free to drop questions in the chat, Templeside chat, if you have questions. So yeah, we have this new blood menu item. Sanctuary is this page, the wallet, which the URL is /wallet, but we've been calling it my sanctuary. And then there's this cults page that I was showing you. And then the third one is the blood exchange that we've shown you before. And it's all coming soon for the time being, but I think I demoed this at the last Temple Time, the ability to actually summon a god using blood earnings. And we haven't quite finalized any of the math, but the mechanics actually work quite well. One thing where I'm kind of exploring is we can in fact do it in real time. But if gas fees were really high, that would be not as fun. So it might be something where we sort of try to batch it. But the current thinking until we say otherwise is sort of around like some limited quantity of gods being able to be summoned with blood. By the way, feel free to jump in if I'm getting any of this wrong or needs more color.
Yeah. I mean, the two ways we're leaning is either um, a very limited quantity or just the people that have helped for the beta will be able to mint an extra god for their blood lust. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. And then the blood boons, these are the auto farmers that we've talked about, and these are also still kind of coming soon. We're still debugging it, but I wanted to kind of push out the rest of things to help shake out some of the cruft in those. Um, but I have a contract in place. It's in for the nerds in the audience. It's an ERC 1155 contract where the summon a god is actually also an object, like an item inside of that. So it's essentially sort of an NFT itself, even though it's more of like a token representing the obligation to get a mainnet god. But then the petty boons, the idea would be that there is an auto farmer that lasts for, let's say, one that's 72 hours, one that lasts for 2 weeks, and then one that lasts for a lifetime of blood earnings. Um, there's a couple of like technical quibbles that I run into while building it that I'm still debating what the best compromise solution is. Like um, it will keep the gods alive, so you don't need to care for them. But with the way we have Gotchi structured today, the second that the boon wore off, all of your gods would die if you haven't been taking care of them. Um, which is both funny, which I think is both funny and potentially frustrating. So we'll see.
They would need to buy a boon immediately.
Exactly. Once you get on the boon train,
Yeah,
you gotta
we
you gotta
are
stay on the boon
doing
train.
yeah. Blood is crack, actually.
Yeah, that's why they're crystals, right? I thought
Yeah,
that was the joke.
yeah, yeah.
No.
One of the petty boons is just going to be a little bent spoon
Oh
written by
God.
God. Yep.
Yeah, and then I'll demo this even though it's broken. I'm probably gonna disable this. So because we're using all of these meta transactions for everything, because all of this is happening on Polygon, even though I am currently connected to, I don't think you can see it, but I'm currently connected to Ethereum mainnet. Um, there is a way of it makes it difficult to actually just even do simple things like transfers. So we have this little tool that I put together to help do blood transactions using
You should call them transfusions.
blood transfusions is very funny. Um, yeah, using the meta transactions, since it's like otherwise you have to switch to Polygon and you have to have some Matic in your wallet. But with something like this, we can make it so that you basically approve the energy contract and you can kind of make transactions. And that's how the blood exchange works too. This is also another contract. I like to put the contract address under here too. And the two buttons that are not present because we're still fixing some bugs are that you would approve the contract as you do with typical ERC20 token transfer contracts, and then you can spend your hard-earned blood here in the blood exchange to buy some boons and gods. And I'm sure y'all have seen some of the mock-ups of all the other items that we've talked about, but it's kind of beta 2 where we're at right now. And so this allows us to push out a bunch of things. I'm actually really excited about uh, I'm so sorry about this copy. I wrote this. So the Tureen one is sick, and the other ones are like whatever. Um,
Must be
it,
lonely over there though.
oh, how's my boost looking? I'm gonna refresh. How's my boost? Oh, it just keeps going up and up.
Yeah. Let me walk through uh, some of my ideas here with the cults page real
Let's
quick.
let's do it.
Um, I'm gonna share my screen. Um,
I watch.
we're here. Um, the colors will be a little less rainbow, but the idea is that each of these cults have a little lore embedded in them. Um, uh, I, obviously I started writing something short, but the idea is that it's actually not written by us. It's written by you, fellow humans. And if you were to click one of these cults, you would get a little bit more. You would see all the god powers associated with this entity. And you'd see who last updated the cult lore, with the ability to update that lore right here. Um, this person chose the right lorem ipsum, but there would be date, time, and it would you'd be able to go back in time. I don't know if you've seen Forgotten Runes wizard cult, but people can keep appending to their wizard or changing their story or updating it. And I like the idea that like someone else can come up in here. The 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 side thought is that every time you update it, the price of how much it costs to update that cult's information rises. So at some point, it's going to be so expensive that only someone very dedicated to that cult or dedicated to trolling that cult will be able to write it. Um, and I welcome both situations. Um, yeah, so we also have, move this down the page, leaderboards on like highest earners, highest god petters, and the overall leaderboards of what's going on in the ecosystem if we get around to that in the which sets us up for a great um, uh, place to be for having races to like who gets most pets in a given month and uh, kind of action like that. Um, and Siggy, yes, that might price out newcomers. So I don't maybe you a newcomer has something good to write, and someone who respects that person's information would help pay for a better one. Um, it would be about communicating with your cult. So hopefully you guys talk. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, and the next thing was, is there anything else I needed to pursue here to fill in gaps? Everybody's silent.
Ah, I
Jamie?
think that's great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do the price. Siggy, actually, to Siggy, one model that I made for it was that the price declines over time too. So, and I think that's
Yep.
actually fairly easy to do. So that way there's sort of like, if it's big updated a bunch, it gets expensive, but then it over time it resets to zero. And then it's actually this is like a half finished contract as well as the DubPace special homepage ad, which follows kind of a similar economic model where the idea is that you could kind of pay to feature your god on the homepage, and the price goes up with each bid or purchase, I guess, um, but then declines, over like I don't know, like let's call it like a day or 3 days or a week or something like that, so that um, you can always kind of like overspend to bump it right now, but you could also just wait a week and then hopefully nobody snipes you, but we'll see. I love little games like that though, where you're sort of like Dutch auctions, like low stakes Dutch auctions. Sounds fun to me.
I like that quite a bit too. Um, and then I thought I'd walk through an idea and get some feedback um, that I'm pursuing to find some more integrations with um, third, like other, well, specifically the loot universe. Um, we've been discussing it, and I'm taking a crack at it from an interface standpoint. Is what's it look like to actually pray to your god in a more like well, it was a fun toy I thought of, and then I was like, oh, we can put some actual interesting utility into this. Um, oh wow, Crucifor's moving. Um, what was I gonna say?
Good luck to Crucifor.
Yeah, good luck, sucker. Um, moving is the absolute worst. Um, here I added an extra thing. I called it pray for now, but I know there's already a pray. But just an example of in the same interface that we're using, um, have an ability to actually send a prayer to your god. Um, I'm doing it in this little phone interface because I'd like it to be a modal in case we want to use it um, in other situations. But you send a prayer, you select your god that you're praying to currently is selected, but you could, choose a different one and it has its, primary power right there. You can type in a prayer and you could pay with blood to submit it. And that prayer would get you uh, a response from your god, either like a GPT-3. Um, I have to mock up some versions of this, either like a machine written response that would be somewhat comical and maybe delivered as a very affordable NFT on one of our side chains. Or in special situations, it would be great to get, um, I think we talked about this previously too, like a lore XYZ. What is that the URL, Jamie? Oh, you keep muting.
Sorry, I keep finding. Yeah, I missed the button.
Not lore
Yeah,
XYZ.
makelore.xyz.
Make lore.xyz. Um, uh, so if you were to connect your NFTs, one as an offering, like let's say you wanted to add up, I don't know, let's just think of something like a crypto coven. You would click here, you would get this select NF. I think there's another interface we can use for this, not have to make our own. Um, but select a crypto coven from your list and submit that, and her face would appear right here. Submit that along with your prayer. You would get back a um, one of these AI pieces of combining your god and this along with some text. Um, but the super special thing, so that's like the basic idea behind these. Um, but the super special thing, I was mulling around thinking about the loot universe, and I'll be pitching this with a couple of the projects that I really like and follow and connected with. Is if I connected a bag of loot to this prayer, if I offered like my bag number 824 to, or even an M loot or anything else, um, in return you would get a boost. Um, you might not know much about the loot universe, and it's a lot to get into, but there's a lot of interesting data correlations I've been um, uh, mixing with what they have, and discovering that we could have like some really cool integrations. So if you pray to a god in the loot universe, you could receive a boon or a curse in the form of like a status message, like you get in an RPG or in a or any game. Like if you're playing, you name the game, you could get haste or shields up, and you could get these on-chain expiring NFTs for that bag based on the prayer you just sent to your god. Um, this, as I explained to you, I feel like I have to make a presentation to outline how this works specifically. But the idea is that praying to your god and offering an NFT delivers you either a funny response from your god or um, something correlated to other projects, as if offering any project to your god delivers the god's awareness of your project. So we could even pair up with other ones like Manny's game. We could, deliver some sort of information that lets it work. And Bridge World, like Revless just mentioned. Um, so I'm going to be pursuing this and seeing how much I can integrate this with Realms, Bridge World, all of them, um, and get back to everybody on how this is going. But I really like the idea of of keeping gods as these entities that all powerful entities that give blessings. um,
Yeah.
it's super satisfying. It's simple, and it's up to the game makers to choose to use them or not.
Hmm.
Um, And I was doing this pixel artwork because I was thinking we could keep it on chain, but it doesn't have to be pixel. It could be any vector.
Oh, I think it looks nice.
Look at that shield.
It's a great shield. Must
Shrews,
take.
you like shields.
Yeah, heard you like
Local
shields.
local shield guy.
Well, yeah, local shield peddler.
You know what? He's a big Manny guy too.
I was gonna
So
say,
yeah,
I
this is
actually,
this is all for shrews, really.
yeah, to the point about Bridge World and Lootverse and Manny's game even, I'd be very curious, like, from the folks on the call too, if there is like a preference to some extent, I'd say, like, or even more than that would be folks working in those ecosystems who would be interested to incorporate these kinds of curses and blessings, because honestly that's sort of the, like, we can throw out um all the awesome pixel art blessing, time limited blessings with cool stats in the world, but unless folks are actually sort of composing their projects with them, or sort of actually recognizing the existence of these NFTs and incorporating them, it's obviously like a little we're still sort of in our own universe. But I would love to see the gods be like, reaching their mighty invisible tentacles into other ecosystems like this. Many sites integrations to work on based on a script. So there's like a snapshot vote. I have to, yeah. Manny's feels like a great place to start, just because again it's like so low stakes to some extent,
Yeah.
or relatively low stakes, and Manny's cool, and we could help do the work. So yeah, I hadn't thought about that one, but I really like that idea a lot. I would love to boost my Manny, boost its speed.
Yeah. Just
I'll have the
just
fastest Manny.
make them glow sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. We'd have to ask Manny, like, if we could do something. I don't know if Sharuz, do you know if any of those apps, Manny apps, are like open source, or things that we could try to fork and extend rather than sort of relying on Manny to do it?
I'm sure he'd be down to share stuff if you asked, but I'm
Okay,
not. I don't think they're open source yet.
cool. Yeah, is the race still live? I also love that he does kind of the time limited projects too. Like, I think it's very simpatico with what how I'd
The
like to be
race,
working.
if I'm remembering correctly, the race I think was like a one-time like live event, which was like kind of a collaboration with Healico, which is like a space NFT collection, or like
Got
a
it.
land NFT collection. Yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah, I'll check that one out. I would. That feels like an easy one to start with, and then I got a Manny, and they're very available too. Like, it's not like I think asking people to buy a loot bag is a big ask, but
We're not asking that. This is
yeah,
just to find a way to be be seated through that universe.
yeah,
I don't know. You like the other thing I was thinking is, there's realms, which is a loot related thing and relies on this these orders right here that you see. Um, but gods need temples. I'm wondering if temples can be seeded across um, these maps that exist in loot realms. But again, this is like insulated to a very specific subset of NFT world that I care about. So and I think we have a lot of traffic from these different systems, so I'd be curious.
Well,
Um,
Shrews' point about overlap statistics is interesting. Like, it'd be interesting to know of people who own gods, what is who owns loot or manis and other things, because
totally.
maybe that prioritize something over one over the other.
I wonder. I'm gonna get a Manny's Discord right now and see if he can share that script. They'll save me what I pretend to like could be like an hour of work, and probably will be like 4 hours of work.
God, isn't this also a call for help? Because we we meaning Jamie and I may or may not work on something like this and might want
yeah,
third-party
I want
developer help.
this may be help needed. I'm going to see if it has like a public first. which requires us finding, this overlap and pitching this. So I'm throwing it out there as like a fun idea to get feedback on it. I really definitely need to pitch it to different communities and work from there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Manny, I know Manny would be down to add some haste. Then it's just like to what effect? And maybe that's it. But I would love the idea of doing like the Manny race or the Manny even the sword battles or something like that would make a lot of sense, especially because that was using the swords. Gosh, Shrews, it could also use the shields.
Mhm.
Oh, so you gear up your Manny and then you just run.
He's just heavier with a sword.
It's just heavier, it's slower, but you like look cooler.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that so far. Um, oh, funny. Thanks, Shrews.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. I'm replying to this right now.
So, what's on deck for the next stage of beta leading to mainnet, or what's coming next for mainnet looking to the future?
Well, so far with beta 2, we've incorporated all the feedback we've gotten. We're trying to squash bugs and reliability. And as far as usability, I think we're pretty pleased with where we are. And it's simply making sure that this is efficient and like contract wise, and making sure that everybody's able to earn, and then it will go public. Um, and then some week or weeks after that, we will launch a store so it's easier to pay your gods and you can test out boons and whatnot. Um, I think we'll go live with blood earnings first, um, and then promote that, and then hopefully have some other announcements regarding how we wish to finish minting out, um, going alongside that. Uh, so we want to make this push, kind of like a big push to ensure that gods are distributed. We're no longer waiting to distribute them, and that uh, we can move on to next steps.
Yeah, just to add to that, so that's right. So with beta 2, a lot of the logic of the economy is more or less finalized. I'm sure there are bugs. I found bugs this morning, so we'll be kind of fixing those as we go along. But that means that the production is in place. It's integrated correctly with sort of the blood shop and this idea of being able to acquire items. And so we'll be able to kind of turn on the blood shop, blood exchange, without making a big new release or anything like that. Same with sort of adding these new items and then upgrading the relevant contracts um, to recognize them, like the auto farmers, for instance. And then it kind of puts us in a place where if this is all stable, there's a bunch of optimizations that we need to do just to make the pages load faster, to reduce the number of RPC calls and things like that. But it overall, like the economy is sort of stabilizing, and now it's more about okay, cool. Like, what do we want to do with these tokens? Like, I don't tokens are cool and everything, and using them to buy gods, I think, is fun too, as part of our sort of efforts to help push the mint along. But kind of square those things up, and then maybe we have like a special project, like one of these crossover things, and then put it up on mainnet and talk about what to do with the mint or what's next. But in terms of the development, like the beta 2, a lot of it was just really finalizing a lot of things internally, and I'm hoping to publish some more docs about that and more contract details, because we now have this kind of on-chain gods system. We have this gods owners system where I'm syncing all the data into Polygon, as well as the ability to sort of investigate who's in what cult and sort of these various population boosts and things like that. So it's exposing a lot of the data from the chain fully on chain. So you can actually build other contracts that use all this data too, rather than doing it through a subgraph or something like that, which is also a good idea, but for different reasons.
Love it. So it sounds like coming up next after this earnings update is going to be the blood exchange with auto farmers. Snuts talked a little bit about the Colts page getting the leaderboards. Um, what were some of the different things planned to highlight on the leader? Forgot some of the aspects. It was like most blood per user per cult.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, the obvious ones are sort of like, who owns the most gods, who has the most sated gods, and then the blood production is kind of tricky to track. One thought I had with that was this like blood bank idea that we've talked about before, of where, or like blood
Based on your
cult.
cult.
Yeah, where you basically can donate your blood to your cult. And so that way the leaderboard might just be which cult has kind of amassed the most blood. And we could either have the cult keep that blood, or maybe it's like leading up to some kind of a mass burn event, let's say. So it's like each week, whichever cult has the most blood, we burn it all at the end of the week. And then whichever cult had the most by the end of the week gets, I don't know, a pat on the back or something cooler than that. But yeah, I think and that would make it easier, because just the accumulation, like the total blood balance, like we want you to be spending the blood on things, not just accumulating it so that you're at the top of the leaderboard. So um, I prefer to set up something where we sort of have a way of looking for, like, not just who has accumulated the most blood, but who has sort of like spent it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like the idea of the banks or the cults you're feeding into your cult to win that period. And that makes some of the competitive boons for the store that we've talked about previously make a little more sense. Where like what where you can like curse a cult that like money spent on is not as valuable, or it drains slowly, or things like that. So it's kind of ways to impede people's progress or boost your own. So like, do you spend the money on hurting somebody else, or you spend it on increasing your cult's value? I think there's fun games in that competitive who wins the most war.
Totally. I still want to bring back the Truel too, but I need
Yeah,
to like do a paper test of it before I write code for it. I've made this mistake so many times now of just being like, it's only take me a day. But the Truel, I still like it a lot, because it's like I think I can actually do it pretty much all offline too.
that's cool.
So it's possible to just, it's fun to do on chain, but since it's like something that I'd only want to run for a week or for a few weeks anyway, I might as well just kind of come up with like the simplest possible version. And
Yeah.
it could riff off of this blood bank idea or these other things where it's like, oh, each cult has this balance. Maybe the idea is that balance gets put at risk for the Truel each night, and so some of the cults double their money, but others lose it all.
Um, I think that's it for now. The only thing I'd like to wrap up with is thanks for everybody for promoting and helping with the Ukraine charity. We started this last weekend or earlier this week, feels like 2 weeks ago. Um, please really appreciate all of that. It it's it means a lot to some of us, and I mean it should mean a lot to everyone. But really appreciate all the retweeting and efforts to get it out there, and everybody who bid purchased. Thank you so much.
Duja Daku. Thank you very much. Oh, what is it? My wife taught me Temni Priviti. It's dark greetings.
I'll say that again.
Temni Privit. Privit is like hello.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that technically counts as greetings, but Temni is dark.
yeah.
So
Dark
it's
hello.
dark hello.
Love
Dark
it.
hello to you, sir. Yeah,
I like that. Thank you for that, Irene.
no problem. Yeah, we out here. Please keep up the support too. We're really is NFT land is fun and everything, but it's
Real problem.
send some money to people who have real problems. Totally.
All right, guys.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Um, we will keep you posted on the launching this thing. Hopefully it's before the next temple time. I've got a feeling it will be.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, we'll keep you posted. We'll send out some more announcements, and then I think I might want to do a little bit of reorganization of some of the channels too. So be prepared for some changes the next couple days. We move things around, then tell your friends. And beta 2 is up. And please do not be shy about reporting bugs. Bugs are a normal part of the development process, and you want to find them in a low stakes testnet environment among friends, and not when
Not
all
before
of
it
your
watch party.
treasure NFTs have been transferred out from underneath you.
Oh man.
Oof.
So hide your kids, test
Hide your
and test
smalls.
your contracts.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Dem ni beat.
Peace.
Dark hello.
Dark hello.
Dark hello.